Welcome to Elite Broker, the podcast showcasing the leading players and stories of success from Australia's broking industry.
Hello and welcome back to Elite Broker. I'm your host for today, Annie Kane, as we jump into another episode of one of Australia's leading brokers. And this week we brought into the studio Justin Picker from Picker Financial as we learn what he's been doing to grow his brokerage here in New South Wales over the past 8 years and what he's doing to move forward with growth. Plus, what kind of tools and tech he's using, his bugbears in the industry and his top advice for new brokers. Thanks for joining me, Justin. How are you going?
I'm well, thanks, Annie, and thanks for the fantastic wrap. That sounded pretty good.
Well, we always love talking to brokers on this podcast and finding out what they're doing. And we've actually known each other for a few years. So it's great to have you finally on the Elite Broker podcast to talk about your journey and your story to our broader audience. For anyone who's not met you, Justin, how long have you been in the finance industry for and how long have you been broking for?
Yeah, so look, I came out of university kind of 2015, 2016, didn't have any banking experience and started a small property investment journey from 2016. And then it got to about 2019 when I was trying to find out which banks would give me lending with my sales commission and the roles that I was earning, and then realised I was doing a lot of jobs in the broker space. So I kind of registered in about 2018, 2019. Didn't do too much for the first 12 months. It's pretty hard out there, and my mentor gave me a good kick in the backside to speed things up. So it wasn't until about 2020 I started to write consistently 1 to 2 to 3 to 5, 10 loans. So yeah, things kind of really kicked off during COVID. Actually, was when obviously technology changed and digital ways of working and Zoom calls and DocuSign, all that stuff became
and the cash
standard,
rate drops
and all that stuff. So that really was a good time to get into it. I had obviously 12 months to learn the tools and systems, and then I could really start to execute. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think, 8 years is coming up on that period of time. It's gone relatively quickly.
Super
but so
fast.
much change.
Yeah, and I think now even I just feel like I'm getting old because every time I say this, I sound like a granny. But I'm like, how was COVID that long ago? 6 years ago. I'm like, what? That's not right. I guess because it extended for a long time as well. So it kind of feels like it was sooner than that. But yeah, you've obviously been broking now for almost 8 years. Yeah. And you came, as you said, sort of out of interest because you were a property investor. Mm-hmm. So when you first started investing, did you actually use a broker yourself to get your first loans?
Yeah, so I did use a broker and also direct channel as well for getting the lending a little bit later on. But the broker side of things was something that, because I was getting loans for 150, 200 grand, trying to buy some small existing investment properties, that most other brokers were used to doing the bigger loans. So I felt like I was probably a little bit of an afterthought or maybe an annoyance because I was really hustling to try and get my equity to get to the next property, even though it might have only been 30 or 40 grand. That's the difference between, property 3 and number 4. So I really kind of felt there was a gap, but also understand now being a business owner, there's obviously that time perspective and how long these things take. And obviously applications took a lot longer back then. But when working with brokers and it was more flexible and you had lender choice, and when I realised when I had to work with Liberties and Peppers and stuff like that and Latrobe and read policies, I was like, hang on, I think I'm doing the work as a broker here. So obviously was very lucky enough to get given an opportunity working closely with my buyer's agency partner, and kind of kicked it off from there in 2019.
So 2019, but you went in and kind of started up your own brokerage. Do you ever consider joining another person or a major brokerage brand?
That definitely crossed the mind. When I started out, it was either start on your own or join someone else and learn the ropes over there. And I think looking back on it, if I wanted to speed up the results quicker, working under someone for maybe a year or two definitely would have got my knowledge up there a little bit sooner. But I'm actually a lot more grateful now going my own way because we're able to deal with the processes and things. And, I basically had to fall out of the tree, hit every branch on the way down, learn from it, and then implement that into a policy and process. So it's been a very gradual thing. But I think, for me, it's been a lot of lived experience either through property investing and also, getting my own loans approved or declined, and then also for clients as well, in the early days. But yeah, that has really helped actually understand the consequences if you get it wrong and how to actually make sure you get it right.
So you mentioned already a couple of times a mentor there, and obviously again about, having to kind of choose your path. So who did you end up choosing as your aggregator firstly, and how did you choose them?
Yeah, cool. So I was playing rugby on the Central Coast in New South Wales. Jack Kenny, who now works with me, him and I were trying to work out the space of finance. And his mum is a person who worked at AFG previously, and basically was able to do our cert force together. We did it on his kitchen table and learnt, all the type of stuff. And because she was working at AFG, it was pretty much the option to get in. I was like,
the only option.
Exactly, because I knew no one in the industry. It's very daunting coming in of all these courses and who to trust and different aggregators and pricing models and also mentors, right? So I knew absolutely no one. So I was very grateful that I was basically mothered by her to this is how you do it and this is how you fill out your forms and all those type of things. And then she found me a couple of mentors. And then Brad East from Wiseby Group in Newcastle. She thought that he'd be the best fit, so I was like, absolutely, if that's your recommendation, I'm going to take your word for that. So for that first 12 months, I was still kind of working full time, and broking was the side after project thing to try and get in.
Yep.
And as you're transitioning from full time, you're doing Uber, and then you're trying to do this at the same time to go, how am I going to like transition out full time of being a broker? And that was one thing that I found very, very difficult, and I think a lot of people would find that in the industry is, how do I quit my full time job to do this full time that isn't going to pay the bills? Especially for the first 2 years when you're trying to find your feet, and every deal that you do, if you don't catch it, you're not going to get paid for it. So it's a very stressful kind of transition. So I spent a lot of time focusing on my side stuff and not actually focusing on the broking. And then Brad was like, you're just paying fees doing nothing. Like, he's either handing your resignation with your work, or, with AFG, and stop paying fees. And it was after getting that, kick in the backside, a bit of tough love, that things started to actually unfold a bit when I actually applied myself. And I think, just to kind of highlight, it's a very difficult transition for people, especially if you've been wages and you've never owned a business. Even if you've worked in the bank for 10 or 15, 20 years, it's still a massive shift. And I think that doesn't get spoken about, how stressful it can be. And obviously you see the numbers that a lot of brokers do drop off because that first 2 years can be difficult. So lucky for me, I was able to persevere through that.
I think that is something that we talk about so much on the podcast is, particularly people, as you say, coming out of industry who might not have ever heard of a broking career before start, and then they go, I haven't got any income for 6 to 12 months. I hadn't really planned for that. So we always are very conscious about talking about that on the podcast, to be like, remember, if you're just starting out, it can take a while before your first paycheck comes in. And always saying at our New Broker Academy events and webcasts, like, make sure you've got savings behind you or another way of supplementing your income so that you can actually pay the bills.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just, one thing, I'm obviously very grateful to be here on this podcast. And when I was starting out this podcast, and the, Momentum Media and Advisor Services was so instrumental, from hearing from other brokers, to actually understand the struggles and perspectives and what tips can you get, which has just been massive thank you, of course, for all the work that you guys have done. But getting through those tough times is there, but also your aggregator and your mentor is super important. If you're getting that support from your aggregator, which I did at AFG, had a lot of support through that, especially getting started with no experience. And then also your mentor as well. If your mentor is taking a commission split or, fees, and they're not giving you anything, you might have to reconsider that. But that first 2 years is critical to actually understand how you apply yourself under stress, how you can manage leads and marketing and, referral partners and everything like that. So you really find out a lot about yourself in the first 2 years, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think people always think that broking is going to be easier than it is as well. So until they actually start writing a loan, they go, oh my goodness, there is so much compliance behind this, especially now after, best interest duty. A lot of people, I think, are surprised by that. They're like, oh, we just thought it'd be, like a tick and flick referral commission, that'd be it. And it's like, no, you got to do all the work.
Yeah, it gets glorified like that. And then when you're actually in the trenches and, and that's where I learned so much. I had the right support teams around me to do that. But I love the industry that we're in. I'm so grateful that, I've been able to be a part of it and grow with it. But obviously shout out to the little guys out there. You might be struggling, keep going, because it's so worth it. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously when you do start your business from scratch, like the first thing that everyone worries about is being like, how and where am I going to find business from? So how did you do it?
Yeah. So, business, obviously, when I started out, making a Facebook page, and you start off with a few friends and family and things like that, you're putting yourself out there. Very, very daunting. If you think, oh, what are people going to think about me? But people actually support, quite well, which is really good. So again, obviously, when I work with my mate who's now obviously a leading buyer's agent, at the time, he was like, look, you pre-vet my calls, kind of be part of the process in terms of, the process of how to invest in property. That was kind of my transition through, and very lucky that I was able to get a really good lead source there to get started. But obviously once you get a bit of momentum, you're hanging around for a while, you're talking to your friends and family and you do a good job for them, then obviously you start to build, your internal kind of referral network from your clients, which is a really big one. So really for me, it was all about leads. I was looking at numbers, making the calls, going through the process, trying to make it happen, and, gradually building from there. So really what I would say is that your leads are your number one. You can be the best in, knowing everything, but if you can't get leads, it's very difficult. So leads and being, active with your referral partners is really important.
So you started with your friends and family. And I think this is always an interesting one for me as well, to being like I'd say people are 50-50. Half people are like, I'm going to start there, and half people are like, no way, I'm going to do that last once I've kind of learned the ropes, because I don't want to mess up my dad's loan, or whatever it may be.
There's definitely a lot more pressure when you do those lines of friends and family, because you don't want to get it wrong. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward and you're getting feedback, and you're not leading down a garden path and saying you can do things that you can't. So definitely tread with caution, but make sure you're confident in doing it. And even if you don't do anything, at least you've given them some value or some clarity, and that's our role as the brokers these days. But obviously with your referral partners and business partners or people that you're working with, just making sure that you can give so much value through their process that it you both win on either side and the clients as well.
Yeah. So when you actually decided to come like full-time broking, like you mentioned about, kind of not really being as busy maybe as you could have been when you were sort of working part-time, because obviously your attention split. How did you kind of bed down and start like really lifting your game then when you became a full-time broker? Like, did you kind of set out like a weekly agenda? Did you kind of go, I'm just gonna run around and, have a poster outside being like, I'm a broker, like try and generate business? Like, what do you actually do once you actually do commit to be full-time?
Yeah, that's a bloody fantastic question. I'd felt that once I had a few things on the go in the pipeline, I was like, I have a real duty to deliver on this because people have trusted me with this process. Whatever the outcome was, whether it was a decline, yes, no, they can service, they can't, whatever it was like I needed to get the momentum on the board. So that was taking up most of my time, rather than the other way around where it was, on the side. So basically getting a few wins, few leads on the board, delivering on those, and then obviously, working on that, gradually going from there. And as your shift comes across, you obviously, this deal got approved, and then you're starting to build momentum that I can do it, or I have done it, or I've done this deal before. I'm getting confidence with all that type of stuff. So when I obviously had a few wins on the board, had a few tough deals, and I was like, okay, I can get this done, even though I haven't worked at a bank for 10 years or something, or you got your first policy exception, or you got your first, 5-star Google review, all those little wins. Once you start getting a few of those, that's when the momentum, clicks, and you're like, okay, I can do this, even though I've taken a completely different path to get here. I can totally do this. So once that happened, from like 2 loans to 5 loans to 10 loans, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I love it. I'm feeling really stoked about it. People are happy with me coming back maybe for second, third property or whatever it was. But I think once I realized I needed an additional staff member because I was barely sleeping and I was doing the calls, then I'm doing the assessment, then I'm doing the processing at night, then I do the client relations, and you're doing settlements. Like, it can really get much quite quickly, especially if you pick your volume up. So that's when I was like, okay, well, if I've got the time now to completely do this, I'm not, this is my full-time thing. I need help, and that was the next step of evolution.
Walk us through what kind of volume you're writing at the moment, because you've rapidly grown.
Yeah, so look, it's going in an upward direction, which is fantastic. Look, we were kind of doing, I was doing 100 mil on my own, was probably my most successful year. Then bringing brokers on, we've kind of gone from 150 to 200. And now we've just cracked 300 million in settlements. We lodged about 400, so there's still about a bit in the pipeline there that's due to settle. We've got some long settlements to come through, but I can confidently say, we settled over 300 million, which was massive. I never thought we'd hit those numbers, but, you'd obviously need a team around you to do that. So, having the right processes, having the right team and staff is just so important. But also, when you're doing such a good, job for your client base, and you're their trusted advisor, they keep coming back, they're referring their friends and family, they're growing their portfolios, you're with them on the journey. So I know we were doing a lot smaller loans of, 200-300K, and our average loan size is still under the national average, but it's getting up there because we're dealing with more people, and obviously their portfolios and their goals are obviously changing. So we're seeing an upward trend. But the other part too is we lodged 1,000 applications last financial year.
What?
And that's huge, right? So when I look at the work, at the team and the processes, we've had to build out this superhuman bloody outfit to make it happen. But even though our dollar size isn't there yet. So I'm now confident, hey, if we had to write 2,000 loans, we can do it. We've got the systems, procedures and people to do it. Or, the average loan size goes up, and then, it's a bit of a different story there. So,
well, this is why I typically ask people what the number of loans they've written is, because as you say, everyone's average volumes are different, particularly as, it's a national podcast. It's actually an international podcast. People listen to this abroad as well. But a lot of people are like, if they're out in the six somewhere, they're kind of like, well, I don't care if you've written $400 million this year, because you're probably only doing, 100 loans or 200 loans because you're in Point Piper or whatever it may be. And they're like, I'm slaving away here writing hundreds of loans to get even half of that. So I'm always curious to look at number. So over 1,000 last financial year, massive. And between 3 brokers?
So there's 5 of us, but we've actually just shifted a little bit. So we've made 2 of our kind of brokers come into more senior management and really guide and mentor our newer brokers and team to come through. That was one thing when I got some silverware and recognition in 2023, 24. That was great, but I got some awards and recognition, which was good, coming into the space. But in terms of what I get such a kick out of now is looking at how the systems, procedures we put in can build new brokers, and they can write 100 mil and we can make it happen, and we just all work together, and I'm there just kind of guiding and providing assistance, and I made that mistake 3 years ago, don't do that, maybe look at this, or what are these other things we can look at. So that's my now pride and joy is seeing everyone else grow, and proud dad moment big time. So that's what I love doing, and that's the rise and the direction that we're going to.
Okay. Before we get into how you actually structured and who you hired and what your team looks like, I'd actually like to talk about the types of loans you're writing, because you talked about starting off as a sort of avid property investor.
Yep.
Do you just specialize investment property then?
Yeah, so really for us, it was mainly investment property. So residential, standard, existing bread and butter properties, at that time were, from 200 to 300,000. Now that's obviously shifting to 300, 400, 500, 600,000. But yeah, smaller entry level stuff in capital cities. And really we had obviously the buyer's agency, Eddie, with his kind of rags to riches story. That was really building the cult following there. And obviously I'd bought a few properties with him. So I was seeing the results. So I was sticking in my lane. I've tried to be a jack of all trades over the years, but I just find you're the master of none. So really stick to what you know. So still to this day is, investment loans for resi. We'll do a lot of SMSF as well. That came probably 2 years afterwards. And obviously, with the changes with the government, that's a bit of a kick in the guts, but we do a bucket load of that for resi. Obviously, your investors, refi, cash out, and your first home buyers as well. So we kind of stick with those four things. We are doing more commercial, but that's just necessity and obviously evolution of people's portfolios. So we are definitely doing that as well. But yeah, they're the kind of 4 or 5 main areas that we stick to.
Yeah, commercial's an interesting one. I think obviously because the SMSF changes, lots of brokers now being like, ooh, I'm really going to have to get across this commercial property now because suddenly everyone's looking at it and I have no idea what a commercial market looks like. So yeah, lots of people looking at that. And also I think mortgage demand is also softening generally, people thinking about diversification. But again, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep.
Before we do though, you launched your own company, Justin Picker. Picker Financial makes sense to me. What kind of things did you do to actually arrive at the name? Did you ever kind of, did you just go, what is available on the website, on the URLs, or did you kind of, try anything different? How did you actually get there?
At the time, I was like, I need to put a name on it, and I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't think of, great big southern U-Butte, coastwide, something like that. I didn't have that parameter or thoughts or something. I didn't want to kind of tie myself to a region, but then I kind of tied myself to an individual. So at the start, I was like, okay, I'm just doing it for myself. I never kind of pictured that it was going to go a lot bigger than what it was. So to what it is now, I should say. But now I kind of was like, oh no, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the name. We did do a little rebrand where we, changed the tagline to more than just a broker, which is just so what we've realized over the years is that we have to be more than just a broker because we're the glue that holds everything together. We're the trusted partner on a finance journey and all that type of stuff. So I really stick by that yes, we can be called a mortgage broker, but when you look at the day-to-days and what we do so much more. And I think we're just such a comforting piece of the puzzle for a lot of our clients and also referral partners too. So yeah, being your trusted advisor, being more than the broker is really what we stand for. So yeah, if it's just my company, Picker Financial, that does that, I'm happy to wear it. But yeah, for a lot of brokers in the industry, we're doing a lot more. And yeah, the name Picker Financial is pretty stock standard, but the meaning behind it is a lot more. Yeah.
And are you still sort of, focused on clients in the Central Coast or kind of, that sort of northern New South Wales, or do you kind of write loans for everyone?
Well, we've kind of gone a bit backwards. It's been the other way around. We were very big digital online first and also friends and family. I grew up kind of Orange, Bathurst way out, regional New South Wales. So people on the coast are like, who the hell are you? We have no idea who you are. But obviously friends and family, social circles. A lot of our clients would be within, New South Wales, but because of obviously our buyer's agency partner referrals and things like that, we do Australia-wide, and that's worked really well too. We've helped people who are overseas at times too, so we're not just targeting that area. In saying that though, we are doing more of a push now to be, active in the local community. Just recently bought an office space in the area, which 2 years ago I was talking about being digital only, and now it's kind of gone full circle with everything being digital and AI. People want that, human element and also your staff as well. So having an office is actually a big play now that, we're giving a bit of a hybrid workspace, but also we want to be a place where people come in to sit down, have all of the services under one roof, and be a proper wealth hub for our clients in the area, which is a bonus, but also for anyone online too.
We're going to take an advert break here because there is a lot to unpack in that, lots and lots and lots of questions.
Yep.
So we'll take a quick advert break here, and we come back, we'll delve into exactly how you did it. So Justin, going from a one-man band to a multi-person team with multiple brokers is obviously a big undertaking, and for a lot of people kind of daunting because you've got to start thinking about things like paying salaries and paying super or having all the kind of things and the stresses and joys of being a manager as well. How did you go from one person to more than one person? Who was your first hire and how quickly did you hire?
Yeah, cool. So looking back on it, I started until I was at pretty much breaking point. So anyone thinking of this, if you feel like you're leading up to it, maybe look at hiring someone first so you don't get super stressed out. But yeah, learned from that. So I had a part-time kind of credit assessor. Her name was Lisa. She had probably 30 years in the space, and she was really good mentoring me on the fly of these are the commercial, compliance things you've got to look at and certain things. And this is before Quickly as well. So I would pay her a few hours to run servicing calculators for me, and probably wasn't the most efficient way, but I needed to get the result for that client to see is it a deal or not. So, a lot more time consuming pieces that needed to be done, but the credit and how you assess it and how you relay to the client was, something that really needed to be done. If you leave someone for 3 days, trying to get an answer because you've got 10 things going on and you forget about it or something, it's a really bad customer experience. So getting to the decision quickly is really, really important. So that's when I needed someone there. Started with credit analyzing a couple of days a week. Then it was like, hey, I need you here 5 days a week, but she wasn't able to do that. So then I started to turn to people, who can I trust? And then I looked with my friends and family. So Min, who's now one of our head brokers, she came in, had to learn from pretty terrible instructions from me, English being second language, and she was also part-time as well. So again, she would do 2 days or 3 days here, but then there was the gaps of things coming through. So then I realized, okay, I need you full-time, because those 2 or 3 days in between is the difference between the deal or getting back in a queue or getting it approved. So part-time really doesn't work to a degree, especially if you're doing credit. So having to bring full-time. Once Min came full-time, then the volumes went up. Then I could do more phone calls. She could do more credit and processing. And then it just kind of kept working from there. And then it just got busier and busier. So I needed another person each time. And again, I didn't know too many people in the space. It was just hiring friends and family and saying, hey, look, we're starting out, got these tools, it's coming in, everything like that. So we just gradually went, from one to the next, to the next, to the next.
Did anyone come from finance, some of your friends and family?
No.
Yeah, that is an undertaking.
So I was like, if I can learn this, and I didn't have any banking experience, I'm sure we can do it. If I can get some Google reviews and 5 stars and build some properties and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure we can, translate these skills. If you have got a good attitude and I can trust you, and they're the 2 things, we can make everything else work. So clients resonate well with that.
But the thing I'm asking about that really is because I'm like, well, surely that would have taken you even more time of your precious time away, is having to then also teach people industry parlance and what exactly they need to do. And if they're going through their set fours, or if they're doing the training, like having to explain what stuff is, that would have been quite a time sap for you.
I think that's a really big trade-off, where you've got to look at this, and depending on where you are in your brokerage, as I said, we came in from nothing, so I had to learn all these things along the way. But if you can hire someone who's a gun, who has all this experience, that can come in and you've got the numbers and capability to do so, it's definitely worthwhile doing to bring people up to speed. They can also help you with certain things. But the thing that, always kind of scared me about that was culture, because I never wanted to lose culture or what we'd built so far. And I think a lot of those stories of going through the trenches and learning about all this different scenario, whatever, it keeps the culture strong. And that's something that I'm super proud of. So I think it's definitely taken us a lot longer to get to these heights. But if we didn't go through these experiences, we wouldn't be in the position to be able to handle it and be in a confident outlook from where we are. So the journey so far, I wouldn't change anything. But just be prepared if you are going to do friends and family, as long as they've got a good attitude and the trust is there and they're willing to show up. And I'm so lucky for my team that have been willing to do that. We've never had any dramas in terms of that area. It's just been, they've been there and wanted to commit themselves and learn as much as possible. So we all reap the benefits at the end of the day.
And the other thing I guess you've got to think about is also salary. So being like, well, are you paying people an annual salary? Are you paying them cost per file if you're outsourcing or you're hiring somewhere else? Like, how did you do it?
Yeah, cool. So I was like, in order for us to learn and take the stress away, it's salary. So everyone's been on a salary broker. I know there's obviously, many things about going contract and different avenues and options, but I felt if I was like, hey, if you don't, make any money here or a deal doesn't go your way, it's going to really be deflating, and I really wanted to say, look, let's take the stress out. Let's just get the learnings right. And if you really start kicking off, obviously we get commissions for work that they do, but when things really start to pick up, that's when salaries can increase and commissions and all those type of things as well. So I think that model's worked really well for us, just to make sure that we can obviously get the right people on the bus, do the training and make sure that works. And it takes that pressure off, because there is so much to learn, and sometimes I underestimate, how much there is to take in. So having that pressure, taken away, then allows them to really understand and go, okay, this is what I need to do as a broker. And then obviously, if we're the right fit moving forward.
So how many people are in total in the team?
So we've got 20 now. So when I spoke to you last time, we're at 10 and now we're at 20. That's obviously been more of a change with getting more offshore support and additional brokers as well.
So you've got 20 people now. And I think what's also interesting is seeing how people, when they start growing their brokerages, a lot of them will step away from loan writing because they kind of go, actually, I want to now grow my business or grow my asset, and I don't necessarily need to be writing loans. Did you do that? Are you going to continue writing loans forever? Like, what's your sort of plan, and what do you kind of do now?
Yeah, so I suppose now I have to get out of my own way. Like I want to go in there and go, I want to do this and try and help and get my hands on it. But as soon as I do that, I kind of interrupt the process that's been there and I step on my broker's toes and systems and para-brokers and support. So it's better for me to take more of a high level view and go, okay, what's going on around the place? Does anyone need help here? But also it's really freed me out, one, to speak to my clients more in a partner, aspect of like, this is where you got to, these are the goals that you told us, this is what I'm saying, this is what my guys are saying. So I'm kind of either helping with strategy or getting the right team around people who want to take their portfolio to the next level and then, helping for that to go to the broker. So doing more of that stuff is more fulfilling. It took me a couple of years because I'm like, I think it's a Macquarie deal or a Bankwest or ANZ. I'm like, as soon as you start doing that and saying to the client, you've then set an expectation with the client. You might shoot yourself in the foot or it, creates friction with your broker because the broker says, I want to go here, but you said go here. So that's taken me a while to undo
stop doing that.
So stop doing it. But yeah, I've realized now my value piece is my people and also our clients.
How did you feel about taking that move almost away? Because I think, it's only been 8 years. So to go through the whole learning curve of going from part-time broker to full-time broker to settling, over 300 loans a year to 1,000 loans a year as a company, like taking a step back, I imagine would be quite scary.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Especially when your long-term clients or your friends or whoever it is. And yeah, it's a really scary feeling because you're like, I'm handing my
babies.
Over,
yeah.
handing them over. But that's having the trust and process in your team. And as soon as I kind of got out of my own way, that's when I was like, okay, things can start to unfold because you're building up your staff. You're also changing the expectations of clients that they've already had a 5-star experience, which I hope they would have. But they trust you, they trust your team, and they trust your process, which is really good. But then obviously once that freed up my time, and I was doing some webinars last year where I had, did some ads on Facebook, had 100 people listen to me talk for an hour. That's 100 hours worth of work in kind of 1 hour. It took probably about 100 hours to get to that point. But now I could say, okay, if I don't do this, or, there's potential other business or other education that I can't get out to the wider community. So that's where it's really trusting my clients saying, hey, I can do the 5-minute call and say, look, tell me what your goal is. What is it? 10, 15-minute call, whatever it is, to find out specific and kind of know what the qualms are, and then give a really good handover and understanding of, hey, this is what the client needs, this is what they're looking for. I'm not going to talk lenders, but here's a really good platform for you to go from, and then pretty much go from there. But that's probably been about a 12, 18-month process, but now the clients will go straight to the broker and I'll be there for those. If it needs to be scheduled in with me or anything like that, more than happy to do it. But then I could focus on those other things, doing content or webinars or whatever it is to get the message out there. And once I realized I was doing the educational piece, a lot of the existing clients felt more connected because then they could listen to me for an hour, talk about a specific topic they were probably thinking about. But if I'm doing too many one-on-one files or getting in the broking work, I can't deliver that. Yep. So that was a bit of a light bulb moment last year to go, okay, we've got to keep going the way we're going.
So you now doing a kind of lot of the kind of strategy, the credit strategy for a lot of your clients, and then handing off to the brokers if they need specific loans doing. But who's underneath them? So you said you've got 20 people.
Yep.
Yourself. Then you've got 4 brokers underneath.
Correct.
Doing the loan writing.
Yes. Yep.
Who are they?
Okay. So prior to that, in between myself, I've got Jack, who's also a broker, but he's very, very good at his experience, credit knowledge, been in the bank for about 10 years. So actually he does have the banking experience that we need, which has been very helpful. So again, he's really basically the broker support there to make sure deals and file quality is solid. And then Libby looks after my operations, so managing leads, settlements, any kind of day-to-day problems, issues, whatever. If those two can put the fire out, then that's great. If anything else happens, then it'll obviously come to myself, but I'm really empowering them to take control in those situations. By taking that stuff away, it then allows the brokers to be freed up to be on the phone, talking to their clients, rather than, doing paperwork and admin and everything like that. It's like, how many clients can they speak to? How many people can they, be in touch with to talk about their portfolios and their scenarios, where are the opportunities? So that's their kind of primary focus. And then each broker has a para broker. So they'll have an offshore team member that assists them with their credit assistance and paperwork and all that type of stuff. We have a processor. We've then got a repricing member. We've also got 2 admin support, which help us, obviously with leads and stuff like that. And then we also have a couple of guys in marketing as well that help us out too with obviously all the stuff you need to do there as well. So I'll get in front of the camera, they can chop it up, edit it, all that type of stuff and get it out there. So it's a quite a number of areas to kind of oversight, but really for me now, it's if I'm not, I suppose, doing marketing or doing other things, coming in to see you, talk about this where there's a one-to-many model, or I'm not helping my clients or staff, if I'm in my emails and things like that, and I'm not pushing the needle forward, I'm kind of doing everyone a disservice. So
you're generating new business.
Yeah, exactly, but also bringing that value to our clients as
Yeah.
well. It's like, hey, we're still actively in here. I'm just trying to relay that information and get it back to our clients so that they're still connected and trusted with us as moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, 20 staff, that's a lot. And so do you kind of like, when you looked at that, did you go, okay, well, I need to be writing, or we need to be writing this amount in order to cover these people's salaries? Like, or did you kind of just wing it and go, fingers crossed?
Bit of both. Look, I think obviously we want to be writing the numbers as possible, and obviously when the loan sizes increase, if they doubled, that would be amazing. But the way I look at it, I've got to invest in my people first, and I suppose lucky for me that I've invested in myself and obviously invested heavily in property that, I've been able to, if something was to go wrong, I've got, financial backing to kind of sort it out, so that's the way I look at it, is I'm going all in on this, and I'm going all in on my staff as well, because I want to see them grow as leaders, and we're clearly doing that. I can clearly see the trajectory of where we're going. So it's just continuing to do that and make sure that we refine that, but also we've got to be there for our clients, and that's the main thing as well.
And you mentioned having some of your team members offshore.
Yes.
How did you go down that route? Like, did you hire yourself? Did you use a staffing service? Like, how did you actually go about finding an offshore team?
Yeah, so that's a whole scenario that is, where there's different companies that offer different services and everything like that. And we've got staff in India and also in the Philippines. Guys in India, they work with ProWorks. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. We use an offshore company for our offshore guys in India, and then also the same in the Philippines as well. So obviously making sure everything's, above board and you've got everything all sorted, but it's a whole learning experience, when you've got people sitting next to you or their family members to going, hey, you're based overseas, and, what is it? So how does that all work? And when I started out, everyone seemed to have it, but I didn't know how you get access to it. It felt like it was like a secret club or something that you need to get access to. But once you kind of go through the process and see obviously the parameters that are made, it's very, very seamless.
I'll ask about your tech in a second, but first, how did you choose the provider? Did you go through your aggregator in the end? Like, how did you tap into that secret club?
Speaking to other brokers.
Yeah.
Speaking to other brokers, hey, how do you use? And then kind of going through that. Then they put me in touch with their contacts and so on and so forth. So it's just pretty much, asking and surrounding yourself with the right people.
What was on your list then? Because I think when you're hiring internally or domestically, it's easier because you can kind of look at people face to face, you can kind of meet them, you can interview them, you can kind of get a vibe for them. When it's offshore, you don't necessarily always get that option of meeting the people that end up working for you. So how did you kind of choose, firstly, which I guess sort of company you're going to use? It sounds like from recommendations, but like, how did you actually go about then the process of getting those people in part of your team?
When I did the interviews, I got the whole team because I didn't want to just make the call and get it wrong. I was like, hey, there's 5 of us at the time. Let's all make the call. Let's all ask questions because they might have a different view or opinion than what I thought. And that was really important to know that we had hired the right people, and then also looking at their resume and experience. And it's amazing the quality of talent that is abroad that have been working in Australian mortgages or, certain banks or whatever that understand the process. So I'm like, hey, if you've got a good can-do attitude, you've got this experience, you're willing to learn, we're, a family-based business, and, we're here for growth. If you want to jump on board of that, we've got a great opportunity for you. And obviously, you have over the years, you've had your teething pains, and this person may or may not have worked out and so on and so forth, but you definitely learn from that from next time. Yep. So I think we've got a really good core group foundation, and then we're just, building on that with our culture, which is really strong. So,
So how do you employ your offshore team then like full time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So employed full time, part of the family.
Yeah.
What we do day in, day out, and they're such an important part of the process because they work so closely with the brokers, and the brokers work so closely with me. Throughout the whole organisation, everyone's role is just so important, and I can't stress that enough for every broker as well, that wherever your staff members are, you've got to treat them like family and make sure you got your processes right so they can succeed as well.
And in some cases, they are family. So who did you hire from your actual family?
So I had all my sister-in-law, all of my sister-in-laws, friends from university. They were doing kind of administrative stuff. They helped me with administrative stuff, and now they've become brokers and operations managers.
Cool.
So it's been a really awesome moment to see their growth.
Yeah. Incredible. And you mentioned tech there. So obviously everyone is super interested in tech. And I feel like, again, as you mentioned in COVID, when you were kind of really ramping up, we didn't really have that much. And then suddenly between 2019, 2021, we had loads.
Yes.
And thank goodness, because people starting out today have so many amazing things they can use at their fingertips. What tools and tech do you use to make your life easier and help communicate with your team?
Yeah, cool. So tech's a massive one. We really use MacBook computers, iPhones. tried Android phones, but
Boo.
found they're a bit too complicated. So everyone's on iPhones. With their Mac computers, there's obviously we're using Google Mail, we're using Zoom, obviously for our Zoom meetings and everything like that. The biggest one is Quickly. Like Quickly is probably one of the biggest revolutionary pieces of tech probably since aggregation or whatever you could say. I'm not sure.
Whoa.
It's a big one.
That is a big claim.
It's a big call. They've been great blokes to deal with. They're always innovating, but they're just leading the charge into the AI realm, which can be so overwhelming. So at the moment, if you're a new broker getting started, firstly they saved you times with the servicing calculators, then it was the policies, now it's your AI. It's just saved so much time in the business, which is I'm forever grateful that they went headfirst into that and not us. So that's amazing. Brokers these days, you can't live without that. We use an app called Spark. Basically, allows you to manage multiple emails. It's the same on your phone. If you've got a team of 20 people and someone's away sick, you can kind of say, oh, hey, you can action this email on their behalf, but also templates. It really allows me to be a lot more working remotely rather than being in front of the computer with these tech tools.
So it's kind of like a workflow.
Yes. A good set of Bluetooth headphones. I've tried many over the years. I finally found like a perfect one. And also those Ray-Ban Meta Sunnies, which they are the best for audio. They are the best. I will hands down on that. But people probably go, why have you got the cameras on? And they think you're a bit of a weirdo initially. But if you've got a set, they're the best for doing audio quality. Or if you're on the phone out and about, you can take the phone calls and that really helps as well.
When you look at the kind of the day-to-day, you're also looking at, what you need to manage for your tools. AFG obviously uses Broker Engine now.
Yes. You've got obviously AFG in the Flex platform. Obviously, they've now gone into Broker Engine. That's definitely helped a lot more from a compliance standpoint and tech standpoint as well, bringing everything into one centralized place. So, yeah, we've been very, very happy with that. Obviously, we see a few other competitors out there kind of nipping at the heels, and they're trying to turn your head of the different things. But I think fundamentally the aggregator softwares across all aggregators is sufficient, but there's a lot of people coming into the space, trying to disrupt that. So, if you're a new broker, and I've spent a lot of time looking at tech over the past, couple of years, I haven't found the silver bullet just yet, but maybe there might be something coming. But yeah, you definitely can get a successful brokerage underway with your current, out of the box tech solutions if you're using Quickly, MacBooks and, your broker engines and stuff like that. So,
yeah. And I'd always say as well, like so often when we're talking to brokers about the tools and tech they use, because a lot of people are looking for the same thing you are, the kind of the elite platform. Sometimes they go, actually, you know what? I just wasn't using my platform properly.
Sometimes it's all there.
Takes time.
It took a while. It took me 3 goes to implement Broker Engine properly until I said to my team, hey, you guys need to do it because your brain works better than mine in this area. But I still am obviously constantly chasing to try and see, or I get targeted on Facebook, try this, and then it just becomes another trial that I never end up using. So yeah, I've been through that death loop for the past 12 months as well, which looking back on it, I'll probably just have to wait a little bit longer. There's things coming though. And obviously, if you are using AI tools like your Claudes and everything like that, which is probably the next thing to get into, they're really, really great for, I think, organising your personal life and, getting all that stuff, organising your day and all that stuff. I find that very, very beneficial. But yeah, you can make some apps and things like that, but that can take obviously a bucket load of time and my skill set isn't quite there. I'll stick to the broking side.
Do you use AI for broking just in your personal life?
So yeah, we're bringing that in now to basically organise everyone's calendar, their day, where their free time is, having a look to see, okay, where the next kind of opportunities are and what they can focus on, but really just helping them structure their day. We are going to look at some things in the future, but obviously we're just seeing at the moment that, with compliance and everything, all that type of stuff, you've got to be very mindful what you're using AI for. So that's really where you leave it to the guys quickly because they seem to be doing all that and they've got their service there. So whenever we kind of come to an idea, like they're pretty much, on the trail of getting it sorted.
So when you look at organising your day and your weeks, is that a particular platform you're using to do that? Or are you just sort of going, hey, look at my calendar, where is the gap? Like how are you doing that?
Pretty much, yeah. I just kind of say, look, I want to be the most effective each day. Like we're like doing time blocking and saying I'm going to use this time for, if it's exercise or being with the kids, or this is where I'm going to do calls and follow-ups and so on and so forth. If you can really get into time blocking, that works a lot better. Yeah. I've only really started doing that the past 6 months because before it was just write everything down in an Apple Notes and everyone was like, oh my God, how does your brain work? Because it's just a complete mess. But with the tools, they are helping organise in that. But then if I'm time blocking, saying, all right, I've got 30 minutes to do this, bang, got to smash out as much of that. And then if I don't get through it, okay, move on to the next topic and so on and so forth. So that's now where my direction has gone, because if I'm stuck on one file for 3 hours or doing broking work, which I shouldn't be doing or something like that, it's then just going to be a massive mess on the other side. So yeah, really, I would say time blocking and even just getting AI to help you with that is a great starting place.
And what do you use? Which platform?
I'm using Claude at the moment.
So I did that. Yeah.
Started with Manus, and that was really, really good. It was probably like a lesser known one, but just from your phone, it was like the super AI for dummies where you could ask it pretty terrible prompts and it would give you amazing results. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm starting to understand how powerful this technology is. Now it's gone to Claude. Claude's obviously a lot better for sitting in front of your computer and the one that seems to be leading the charge now. So we chose to get on the winning team over there. So it's working well.
Very good. And if you do want to use AI in your business, check with your aggregator first.
Make sure you do that.
Little disclaimer there. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, though, I'd like to talk to you about the challenges that you're seeing in market at the moment and in the industry and the opportunities as well. So where you're kind of seeing a lot of growth, what's getting you out of bed, what's keeping you excited, and then top advice for new brokers as well. I'll get into that just after this. So Justin, we've talked a little bit about how quickly things have changed for you. And one of the things that has happened this year that has got everyone a little bit frustrated is the SMSF Resi change. Obviously, no one really saw it coming because it was kind of chatted about, but not properly. And then suddenly it was like, oh no, it is happening and it's happening right now.
Yep.
Obviously, if you're writing SMSF Resi at the moment, I think every broker in that space is just really focused on getting it done.
Yes.
What do you think about the changes? How have they impacted you?
Oh, well, I think the changes were pretty silly. I think that because the rise of people making money in their own SMSF from smaller investments, the super funds didn't like it, somehow swindled the greens, somehow got it through, somehow got this crazy law through with minimal consultation. But it's a massive kick in the guts for the little guy. You know, like when I started my first SMSF property, I had 60 grand in my super, bought a property for 200 grand, sold it 2 years later for 360,000. So I walked away with 140 in 2 years. Tell me what industry super fund's going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, no, that's not going to happen. Then I took those funds, went and bought, 3 more small resi investment properties. And then I've recently just sold 2 to then fund the deposit, on an office, which I wouldn't have been able to do. And that's in SMSF commercial for the business, right? So that wouldn't have happened if I had these small stepping stones, which I was so passionate about saying, hey, look, super fund's doing bugger all. Here's an option for you to do it. And, and I really look at it now, it's going to really halt things for the economy. There's going to be a lot of people, spooked by it, but it really just was like, hey, you can't do that now. If you want to invest in property, have 500 grand in your super, which is going to take ages to get there because it's got to be commercial only essentially. So yeah, real kick in the guts there. Obviously for the people getting it through, we're very big on, hey, the timeline's coming. We've got our contacts and referral partners on standby saying, hey, look, we'll get the pre-approvals lined up. And I can understand the human element of side of things, and the political side. I never thought mortgage broking was going to become so political over the past, 6-12 months, but here we are in that sense, in that space. But I think this move is a bit silly from the government side. So a bit frustrated, but we just got to play the rules that are in front of us. And, obviously that was right after the changes of negative gearing where we saw lending capacities, kind of come in 20-30%. So, they're really just targeting the investor right now. But I just think, give it a couple of years. Obviously, they took away negative gearing in 85, 87, happened in New Zealand. It all ended up coming back. So I'm just like, this will be a moment in time. We'll play what's in front of us. If it comes back, great. If not, you just got to learn to adapt. And there's opportunities out there. So that's what I'm really educating clients on, mainly at the moment. But yes, there's a big rush of SMSF applications on our side.
Your buyer's agent, referral partner must be very, very busy.
Yes, we are working very, very, very hard right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the other thing I think was also really interesting is, you mentioned about just sort of having to move quickly. And I think this is where brokers really come into the fore because for a consumer who doesn't read as much financial news as perhaps you might do, will probably be like, what on earth am I doing here? What has changed? Some people think, well, if that's not my option, I just can't do anything. Are you finding that? Are you finding that people feel dispirited?
Yeah, it's definitely taken the wind out of the sails in some of those areas. And we're pretty much saying, look, the fundamentals aren't going to change. Supply and demand, we're not building homes quick enough. Now you're going to have this put in here of business confidence is down. People aren't going to want to transact as much. And then you take out the SMSF, which was, pretty, it was definitely becoming more and more popular, which
growing,
a lot of developers would have been relying on for new developments. And they're not going to stall or going to have issues and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's a real kick in the guts. I don't know. It really frustrates me. I could say a lot more than that, but I'll leave it as a kick in the guts. I had a few kicking and screaming moments about it saying this is absolutely ridiculous, but, I'm not the policy makers or anything like that. I'm just saying it from lived experience. And I've helped hundreds of clients make good money in their super by taking action and buying an investment property, and we help do the loan, and the result of that is just so much bigger than what I would have ever anticipated. So having that taken away, yes, it sucks, but yeah, we'll just see what comes up, what's next, what other angle can we look at. But fundamentally, supply and demand.
Well, SMSF commercial is obviously still being available, but for a lot of people, not necessarily what they're going to be wanting to invest in and not really understanding it. But for brokers like yourself, it can be wonderful because you can buy your own office like you've done.
Absolutely.
Why did you make that decision to get an office? Where is it?
So the commercial office is in the Morisset area, which is great. So trying to get that local footprint and be, only 5 minutes from home, which is great, right next to the railway station, which is very, very handy. So a lot of the areas in Morisset, they kind of push you, into the industrial area, and it's just not really the kind of fit we were looking for. But an opportunity came up. It's it's got 2 restaurants, a financial planning firm. I had an accountant and a chiropractor and 2 spare offices in there. And I was like, sweet, we only just need those spare offices and we'll jump in there. But yeah, obviously the yields and the rents and everything that comes through, certainly made sense. So it was a good play for us. Obviously it's a bit more beaten, a bit more run down, nothing fancy, but we'll get there eventually. We'll do it up. But by having that office there and getting it in super, I wouldn't have been able to, do that normally or have the cash to put that down. So by getting those smaller resi assets, putting it in, we can do that. But yeah, the benefit of it now is that obviously I can, be with my team. We could sit there, get more of a footprint in the local community. I just kind of collaborated with the coffee shop down the road, bought a couple of $1,000s worth of coffees and going to put that in the area so I can get a free coffee on us to kind of, spread the word and everything like that. But it's actually good just to kind of collaborate as a team in person after being digital for so long.
Yeah.
So, and I think in the way of technology with AI and everything that's happening, people want that human element. You can now generate a full person that tries to give you the human element, but it's not the same thing. And when we're helping people with the biggest financial decisions of their lives or, credit strategy or whatever it is, or they need the right people around them, I really want it to be a one-stop shop. So us as the brokers, well, obviously buyers agents, financial planning firm already established there. So I really want it to be an area where people can come in, get everything sorted and get it moving forward.
Get a coffee in there, click back into place at the same time.
Absolutely.
So do you refer out to the financial planning business as well then?
Yeah, so we've done a few deals together, which has been really, really good. We're very aligned, similar values. So yeah, it's been really, really good to kind of unlock that as well. Not that I didn't think of that at the time when I bought the place. I was like, we'll just get in there. But because we've been, we're adding value both sides, it's actually been really handy.
When you think about then the kind of changes and evolution, opportunities and market. So, I mean, there's been a lot of change. We've talked about the SMSF resi stuff already. Is there anything else that you think is really challenging at the moment that's making your life harder as a broker?
Challenging as a broker. There's always challenges as a broking space. I feel like, you had the Royal Commission and you've had all this, and then you have best interest duty and everything like that, which is all trying to make us, if the bank does something wrong, we're the fall guy, etc. So I think as an industry, we've done really well at that. We've got the compliance, we've got the tools, we've got everything there, and I'm confident in my team staff and processes. So that stuff is good. I think it's just obviously there's a lot more brokers in the space now. So, we're not just competing against bank, we're competing with broker. So your clients, your experience that you deliver is just so important, now than ever. And obviously with times are changing, I'm expecting more brokers will probably start to, tread on other brokers' toes potentially. And that's something that I've never done. I'm like, if you're with a broker, you got to tell me why you're going to come with us, because I don't want to ruin that relationship for you, because they've probably done a lot of work. Hopefully people reciprocate that, but I don't know if that happens. So that's probably one thing. Obviously, you claw back, you get that. That's really frustrating, especially when, you've given a 5-star service or it's been a really big file or whatever it is. So I think really it's how you position yourself. Over the years, I used to get really upset when clawback would happen, but now I've had to go, well, we haven't done a good job, or something had happened, or something's happened there. So I really try and seek feedback to try and fix that problem.
Yeah.
And half people don't even realize it was the case, or you might get some feedback here and there, but most people just generally just unaware. So really educating your client, making sure that you tell them we're here for the long term, we're here with you. This is our process, this is our reviews, this is what we do for you, so they feel trusted, and obviously they stick with you, for as long as they can. But yeah, and obviously the innovation in technology coming in so quickly. Some places are innovating and others are dragging the chain. So, you really got to keep an eye on it. But
from a lender or an aggregator perspective?
Probably a bit of both. I'll take that, but I don't know. I don't want to talk shit about AFG, but I'll just say, look, actually, it can be from both sides. Like, it depends really on what it is. Sometimes queue times can blow out. Sometimes you're waiting for forms of certain aggregators and things. I think with the technology, things should be moving a lot quicker. And our clients have like TikTok brains. They want things now. It's instant gratification. It's very difficult to get delayed gratification. So if you've got to wait weeks or something for turnaround, you might lose that deal or client, or even that potential staff member if they can't wait that long.
Wow,
so yeah, tech is very important.
So tech might be one of your bugbears. Do you have anything else that you would change in the industry? Like if you were king of the broker industry for the day, what would you change to make better?
As king of the broker industry for the day, I would probably make definitely some more universal training. Like as a broker, the aggregators have to supply you this, or as part of your thing, you've got to go somewhere and actually understand that you know what you're talking about. And also teaching you things outside that, how to run a business and do all these certain things and everything. A lot more training and compliance so that you're fully prepared, so that you don't panic and stress when you realize when you're in the industry already. That could certainly help. I mean, get rid of clawbacks. That'd be nice. Or be a bit more lenient with it. Losing a clawback, 11 months and 2 weeks or something like that is pretty rough. The opportunities there. Like, I just think there's so much opportunity right now. It's there to be taken if you're willing to do the work. It's also never been easier, but also never been harder because there's more brokers now in the space.
Yeah.
But you've got great tech, but you're competing against each other. So I think a lot more education and training around that. But, for me, as I said, I've had to learn all the problems and somewhat iron them out. So I'm not saying the business is perfect, but where I've had to learn a lot of these things, and I felt I've had to put a process in place to make sure we're sustainable. So yeah, at the moment, I'm pretty happy.
What opportunities then are you excited about?
So I'm excited for obviously doing more webinars and education content and helping as many people as possible. I think with the power of Zoom and technology and the fact you can speak to 100 people, 1,000 people potentially at the same time is amazing. So I really kind of want to go continually down that rabbit hole and educate as many people as possible so that when they come through to us as a client, they've got a good crash course and understanding of what we're about and how we can help them. So I'm really excited for that. Really excited just for the growth of my team as well. It's so awesome seeing, the new guys coming in and they're absolutely smashing it. Dan, first year in, 9 months, we're at 100 mil, and I'm like, that is insane.
That is insane. So, well done, Dan.
Yes, well done, Dan. Should be next guest on your podcast. Okay. Or one of them.
We'll do it for New Broker, yeah.
There you go. He's definitely a shoo-in for that. So, loving seeing all that and the change in the space. And, obviously I've seen a lot of growth. This might be the first time of headwinds. So how do I deal with that as a leader? What other things do we have to change with that? And how do we kind of overcome that? And then when consumer confidence is back, there'll be some people that have left and this is crazy. But I'm like, okay, I'll come work with us. So I'm excited for that. I'm still really, the fundamentals don't change. And as I said, I think we've prepared for this over the years, and I look forward just to continue to help as many Australians as we can build wealth through property.
So what's next for your brokerage? 2 years ago we spoke and you were half the size as you are now. Are you going to be 40 people next time we talk in 2 years' time?
It really comes down to, I just feel like we have such a massive responsibility and duty of care to our clients. The more clients we have, the more responsibility and care and services they're going to need. So as that's continuing to grow, I'm definitely looking to hire more, add more people to the team. Do we do restructures? What tech? What are the things that we do to make sure our clients are being looked after and we're there with them, through their journey? It's not just, one loan, that's it. It's probably a 10, 15, 20, hopefully 30-year journey of multiple properties, right? So I think we definitely need more staff. Where that is, I'm not sure yet. As I said, we've just made a bit of a reshuffle, and hopefully the brokers have got to just smash their numbers, and obviously the admin gets taken away. But there'll definitely be a need for more brokers. I'm sure of that.
Okay, and I mean, obviously this all requires a lot of work and a lot of brain power. So you do need time to unwind and de-stress. And we do a weekly segment on our socials called Wellness Wednesday, where we specifically go, remember to unwind and de-stress by showing people, what other brokers are doing. What do you do outside of work to wind down, to shake off the week?
Look, I'm probably not the greatest pin-up boy for this at the moment because I feel like I'm just coming through the back end. Well, I've obviously married 3 kids, 3 under 5 at the moment, so it's pretty hectic at home. So one thing, obviously just walking, putting podcasts in, it definitely helps a lot.
Any recommendations?
The advisor's not too bad.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't fishing for that.
No, I've been listening to, I've been doing audiobooks as well, actually.
Oh, yeah?
So I've been doing a lot of audiobooks about things that I have no idea about, or management, or different type of things. Good to Great is a great book. Not Jim Rohn, something like that. Good to Great, it's a really good book. How the Mighty Fall, a lot of business books where I'm like, okay, how do I understand certain situations, or how am I meant to be the leader in each of those? But yeah, the other one too, and it's a bit left field. If you ever get those Japanese head spas, they're in Sydney somewhere. I had one of those.
So good.
Literally melted away the stress, and I was like, okay, I need to do this on a regular basis. So I definitely say self-care, get a haircut, get your nails done, whatever it is, feet scrub, take some time for yourself, because you can just get completely wound up in the whole thing and not take any time. I'm trying to bring that back into my staff members as well, that have some time for yourself. Dan's very regimented. We'll go to the gym, never misses that. He's obviously on top, and I'm like, do what he does. He's doing a really good job with it. So really, if you can time block and you can manage your stress and you go, I'm on here, I'm off here, that's going to be really good, rather than just being stuck in your inbox and, to-do list.
And what do you do if you were going to do your career all over again? What would you do differently?
If I was going to do my career all over again, I would have applied myself a lot earlier. That's for sure. I would have just said, look, broking is such a fantastic career. All the joys and fulfillments and things that you're looking for in a career is right in front of you. Just bloody stick to it. Don't get distracted from everything else. And so by doing that, I probably would have done a few more maybe PD days, maybe got more staff members earlier, would have invested in tech earlier, and would have done a lot of things a lot earlier. But that kind of came from myself learning, and I'm at the other side of it now. Obviously, there's still going to be broking space and a long way to go. But yeah, by the first few years, I probably would have saved myself some pain and stress if I had have invested a bit earlier or applied myself. But
so would that be your advice to new brokers, or do you have any other advice?
For new brokers, yeah, it's something that just go all in as soon as you can. Like, try and learn as much as possible. Get yourself a good mentor. Tell your aggregator what your goals and plans are. Really start talking to people and find people who've done it before and ask them the questions. If you need them as your mentor or whatever it is, find the people that you want to surround yourself with, or, are aligned with your goals and values. And that's the number one thing. And there's obviously so many people online that have differing opinions and everything like that. But find the people that work best for yourself and that have been there and done that, because when you speak to them and they know someone, they might know someone, and there's a professional service that could change your life or your business.
Yeah.
So I've been very lucky to do that over the years by speaking and networking. Took a couple of years to get the confidence to do that. But again, if I'd have done that a few years earlier, might have saved myself some time and stress. But that's my kind of, bits of advice is invest in yourself, go all in early so and get the results that you need.
Well, if you are interested in finding out more from other brokers and asking them questions, then do make sure you sign up for our webcast on the 18th of August, the new broker webcast in partnership with Mortgage Choice. We're talking to 3 different brokers at different stages of their career to talk about how they built their business. And it's a live webcast, and you can get your questions answered. So do make sure you check in then. But Justin, thank you for also sharing all of your insights and advice today here on Elite Broker. And congratulations on building your team, and good luck for FY27.
Thank you so much, Annie, and the advisor and Momentum. Really, really appreciative for all the knowledge and insights you've shared over the years, and all the brokers out there that have come on and shared their stories. They just impact so many new brokers in the space. And I've never been in an industry where everyone shares so much. So hopefully this gives something back, and I really appreciate your time and the opportunity.
Well, you said loads of people have been so generous with their time. So I'm sure many people will be now reaching out to you, Justin, to be like, help. But I definitely echo that. There are so many amazing people, so many amazing stories. We've got 10 years worth of podcasts as well on the Advisor Podcast Network. So do take a listen back at previous episodes. Start from the beginning and just work your way through. There's so many, hundreds of episodes back there on Elite Broker. There's New Broker Podcasts. There's Women in Finance. There's In Focus. There's What's Making Headlines, where we talk about what we're writing about in the news. There's so much content. And of course, if you've got any content that you think we should be writing about, any news, any gossip, any stories or insights, then do feel free to reach out. You can reach me at editor@theadvisor.com.au, and all the podcasts on the Advisor Podcast Network. We'll hope you have a fab week, and we'll catch you next time for another episode on The Advisor.